Russian President Vladimir Putin on Saturday oversaw a military parade in Red Square, commemorating the defeat of Nazi Germany in World War II. During the event, Putin voiced confidence in a victory in Ukraine. Notably, the parade did not feature heavy weaponry, marking a shift from previous years when such equipment was displayed. The event took place while the authorities in the Russian capital had ordered restrictions on mobile internet access and text messaging services. Furthermore, the parade featured troops from North Korea, which was noted as a tribute to Pyongyang sending soldiers to fight alongside Moscow forces in the Kursk region. Earlier ceasefires had failed to hold. U.S. President Donald Trump had previously announced a ceasefire request running through Vladimir Putin stated after the parade that the absence of heavy weaponry was due to the military needing that equipment on the battlefield in Ukraine. The parade occurred against a backdrop of diplomatic activity, including a U.S.-brokered ceasefire that eased concerns about potential disruptions to the festivities. The next immediate point of focus remains the ongoing military situation in Ukraine. Rescuers on Saturday recovered the body of an Indonesian woman who was caught in a volcanic eruption at Mount Dukono on the remote island of Halmahera. This recovery came as search operations continued for the bodies of 2 Singaporean climbers, officials stated. The hikers were part of a group of 20 who had attempted to ascend the 1,355 meters volcano, despite safety restrictions. The group became stranded when Dukono erupted early Friday, sending a thick ash column that rose about 10 kilometers into the air. Authorities identified the recovered woman, known locally as Angel, as a local hiker. She was located Saturday afternoon, about 50 meters from the rim of the main crater, according to Iwan Ramdhani, who heads the local search and rescue office. Rescue teams are continuing operations amid high volcanic activity, and the location of the 2 Singaporean climbers remains unknown. Saturday's search focused on a specific 700 square meter area where clues had been found during earlier searches, despite the hazardous terrain and ongoing eruptions. Rescuers are prioritizing safety due to the elevated volcanic activity. The next steps involve continuing operations in the area while managing the ongoing hazards presented by the volcano. Major redistricting activity continued this week in southern states, highlighted by a Virginia Supreme Court ruling that blocked a Democratic congressional redistricting plan. The ruling also followed fallout from a U.S. Supreme Court decision regarding a Louisiana congressional district. The court majority cited procedural reasons for rejecting the amendment to the state constitution that paved the way for new maps. The court found that they didn't comply because the initial approval came in October after early voting had begun for the general election. The court majority cited procedural reasons for rejecting the amendment to the state constitution that paved the way for new maps. The court found that they didn't comply because the initial approval came in October after early voting had begun for the general election. Louisiana quickly suspended primaries scheduled for May 16 so lawmakers could create new districts. Redistricting efforts are occurring in southern states amid a push by both parties to redraw maps for advantage ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. A 3-day ceasefire agreement between Russia and Ukraine was announced by Donald Trump on Friday, an arrangement that diffused immediate tensions over a potential Ukrainian attack on a Red Square parade in Moscow. However, the deal reportedly does not appear set to establish a path toward a comprehensive peace agreement. The announcement followed the unraveling of a unilateral ceasefire that Russia had previously declared for Friday and Saturday. This adds to the instability. A Ukrainian drone strike hit the administrative building of the Southern Russia Air Navigation Branch in Rostov-on-Don, causing the region's transport ministry to suspend operations at 13 airports. In related developments, flights did resume Friday afternoon. Officials indicated it could take up to 3 days to fully restore air travel across the area. Meanwhile, Russian forces continued attacking on the front line overnight, while Ukrainian air defense forces reported shooting down 56 Russian drones. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that Kyiv's consent to the U.S. brokered agreement was driven by the prospect of freeing its prisoners. Separately, Zelensky issued a decree allowing Russia to hold its Victory Day celebrations, calling the Red Square parade a silly joke. Kremlin Foreign Affairs advisor Yuri Ushakov confirmed that Russia accepted Trump's initiative for the 3-day ceasefire, and an exchange of 1,000 prisoners of war on each side. The next immediate step involves the implementation of the agreed-upon prisoner exchange.